What's going on YouTube? HallstotheWall here. So today I am going to be bringing you an updated version of my Black Dragon Burning Abyss deck. So I first brought the initial list to you guys a couple weeks ago, and since I uploaded that video, there were a few comments on it just giving me suggestions or insight onto some different changes I can make. So I did decide to implement a few of those changes to improve the build. And the changes I've made, I gotta say, I do like them so far. There are always improvements that I'm looking to make to not just this deck, but any deck that I play. But I do like the moves that I've made, and I thank you and I'm appreciative for some of the suggestions. But yeah, so I just wanted to bring you guys an updated version of this, as this is the deck that I've been playing with the most recently. But without further ado, we'll just get into the list. So the cards that I haven't changed too much, I'm not going to go over too in depth because they didn't change from the last time, but the new additions, I will spend a little more time on those for some of the changes I made. But to start off with, gotta run 3 Black Dragon in the Black Dragon Burning Abyss deck. It's pretty self-explanatory. He's the heart and soul, so nothing has changed there. I still run double Gaia Plate the Earth Giant. I was considering either bumping this down to 1 or just cutting him completely to replace him with a Gizmek Orochi. I do have a Gizmek in the deck, I just have 1 copy, but I decided to keep the Gaia Plate the Earth Giant at 2 because he's level 8 and I just want the level 8 consistency to make Ningirsu, and he's Earth. And just having a plethora of Earth targets in this deck is really important. But next part, which is the same, I still run 3 Gigantes, so that hasn't changed. The 1 Fossil Dyna, and the 1 Giant Rex, and Dotscaper. So the next few cards, I mentioned them in my last profile, but I didn't have the physical copies. On the test duel that I did on YGO Pro, I did use these cards and I had them in my build, and I even posted it on Instagram. But I'm running 1 Emancipator Researcher, and 1 Seeker, and 1 Recover as the replacements for Glow Up Bulb. So Researcher and Seeker, I honestly feel like those are the better options for tuners to run in this deck. I do like Recover, and I don't necessarily know if these 3 tuners all have to exist in the same build, but I like having them because if you can't get access to, say, Researcher or Seeker, then you have Recover. But also having several different Earth tuner targets for Naturia Beasts is essential because you can always tutor them out with Helifibrex. So any missing tuner that you need, if you have a level 4 Earth on board, you can bring out Recover. If you have a level 3 Earth on board, then you bring out either Researcher or Seeker. But ideally with the combo, you would already have access to Researcher and Seeker. But that is it for those. And next, the Burning Abyss engine is still the same. A very small Burning Abyss engine. I still run the 1 Seer, 1 Graph, and 1 Libic. And still have 2 Tour Guide, Fiendish Rhino Warrior, and not 3, but 2 Mathematicians and 1 Scrap Recycler to go along with the O-Lion. So one of the suggestions was cutting the 3rd Mathematician for 1 Scrap Recycler, and I like that idea because Scrap Recycler can send any machine essentially, and Mathematician obviously can't send just strictly machines, but with Scrap Recycler you can use him to send something like Gizmek Orochi. So having Scrap Recycler later in the game is very beneficial, especially if you don't have Gizmek in your hand or graveyard already, and he's not once per turn, but you don't really use him more than once because once he's hit the field and gone to the graveyard, he's gone. You can banish him with Black Dragon and then potentially get him back later with Ningirsu, but that's a very situational play right there, and this might not happen that often. Next, for the level 3 extender slash starters, still run triple Gallus, and I decided to up the Gillosaurus to 2. So I upped Gillosaurus to 2 and got rid of both of the Speedroid cards with Teratop and Takatomborg. So I like having more than one Gillosaurus because you can summon Gillosaurus more than once per turn, and he's a free summon any time of day, and he's level 3 and he's Earth. So he really fits the mold perfectly of what you're looking for. Next, I still run 2 Psychic Wielder and 1 Psychic Tracker. I am considering upping Tracker to 2, and maybe, I don't know what else I would cut, but that's something I'd have to look more into, but I would definitely want to cut something if I up him to 2, because the build that I have right now is 43 cards, and ideally I would like to shrink it a little bit. Oops. The 2 Crusadia cards are still the same, Reclusia and Leonis, as are Edge of Sabers and Sea Archiver. And the last level 3, just running 1 Tsuchinoko. So I know I talked about this in my last video. I had both Tsuchinoko and Jackalope in the deck, and I spoke to potentially only running 1 Tsuchinoko, because with Jackalope, if you already have Tsuchinoko in your hand or he's already in your graveyard, if Jackalope gets sniped, then it's a dead card and you can't extend or go into anything else from there. Whereas Tsuchinoko, he's live all the time. If he gets sniped, he special summons himself. If not, then it's just a free draw, so a free Upstart Goblin effect, and you get to special summon him. So I wouldn't consider running any other dangers, because in this deck you really just want to maximize on the level 3s. So something like Nessie or Mothman, those wouldn't really, I guess, contribute to what you're trying to go for. I mean, they could serve as bodies for link plays and link fodder. Maybe something like Mothman is something that I would experiment with. Just because I did include a new rank 4 Xyz monster in the extra deck, but I will get into that when we get there. Then still running double Levianeer and another new addition, Gizmek Orochi. So I really like this card because it serves as a late turn extender pretty much if he's in your hand or grave. If you have a level 8 on board and you don't have any other ways to access another level 8, but you have Gizmek, then he's essentially just a free summon to get him on board, so that way you can go into your Dingirsu for protection. And then last level 8 is Hydralander. I'm honestly not 100% sure if he was in the last build that I put together. I know I was definitely running Lithless Asium, but I've removed him because I mean, he's a one of, and he's level 9, so he doesn't really synergize with anything in the deck except for the fact that he's Earth. But I'd rather have something that that can flow better with the deck. So level 8s and level 3s and Earths are what I'm looking for in that regard. But with Hydralander, I like the fact that he's level 8 and he has the pop quick effect where you can destroy a card on either player's turn. And even though you have to send cards from your deck to the graveyard and risk having multiples in your graveyard so the effect won't resolve, that doesn't happen too often because of the way you can manipulate the graveyard, because you do a lot of banishing. So chances are any cards that you run multiples of, like Tour Guide, Mathematician, Gallus, Gillosaurus, Psychic Wielder, chances are the other copies of those cards may have been banished, or you may not have accessed them yet. So, and then the last monster, the one Cyberstein. I'm still rocking the Cyberstein here. I do still like him in the deck. I just like that he's another way for you to access a negate like Naturia Exterio. I mean, well, he's the only way you can access Naturia Exterio in this deck, but what I'm trying to say is if you can't access Naturia Beast, then you can have Cyberstein and use him to go into your Naturia Exterio. And then the last spell, still the only spell that I'm running in the deck, is Sekko's Light. So some other spells that I'm considering running are in place of Sekko's Light. are Emergency Teleport, Foolish Burial, and maybe Monster Reborn. But I still really prefer Sekka's Graveyard effect over those, because those get to the graveyard, they're dead, you're not going to get to use them. And with Sekka's Light, I feel like the draw 2 really comes in handy when you need it, and you can always save it for when you need it as well. But moving on to the extra deck. Token, so I don't have the Joey Wheeler token this time. It's with another deck that I was messing around with. But that's the token used for the Mecha Phantom Beasto Lion. I'm still running the one Neteria Exterio, Neteria Beast, Dingirsu, and Abyss Dweller was the rank 4 Xyz monster that I had mentioned that I had just added. So I like this card because it just serves as more disruption, especially when you're going first. If you can get him on board with some of the other cards that you would have, like Fossil Dyna, and some of your negates like Neteria Beast or Exterio, it really just kind of covers that last thing that your opponent can't do while he's on the field. And then Levier and Dante are still the same. Cherubini, Halifibrax, which I really like this addition to the deck, especially because, like I was saying earlier, he can bring out any tuner that you need. And with Block Dragon, ideally when he goes to the grave for the first time, you're going to search out the 2 Adamantipator tuners plus Gigantes. So with that, you'll then be able to bring Gigantes on board, because you should definitely have an Earth in the graveyard at that point. And then because you control a rock, you can bring out Researcher, and then because you control an Adamantipator, you can bring out Seeker. And with those, you would use go into Neteria Beast if you had the other resources on board, or if you needed to, you could then use one of the Adamantipator tuners and another monster you have on board, so it would probably be Saryuja at that time, to go into Halifibrax. And then with Halifibrax, you bring out Recover, which you can then use with Gigantes to make your Neteria Beast. So that's just one of the many reasons why this card's broken, and he's raised the power ceiling of so many different decks. And I still run the 2 Nightmares, Cerberus and Phoenix. As with Curious, double Saryuja, Appaloosa, and Borosword Dragon. But that is going to do it for the deck list for now. I know another comment that I received on my last video, someone was looking for a combo. So while there is no ideal combo for this, there's still an ideal end board that you would ultimately like to end on. And there's really more than one way to get there, and that's why I love this deck so much. So what I can do, I can just shuffle up this messy pile that I have here, and then get back to you guys once everything is all set. Alright, so we're back here. I'm just finishing shuffling up this pile that I had, and we will do a draw. So open Seeker, Levianeer, Fossil Dyna, Sekka's Light, and Tour Guide. Alright, so not the most ideal opening hand, but we'll see if we can make it work. So I'm going to start off by normal summoning Tour Guide. Summon Tour Guide over here, and then with Tour Guide's effect, we will special summon Fiendish Rhino Warrior from our deck. Let's see, there he is. Special summon him right there. And then use Fiendish Rhino and Tour Guide to go into Cherubini. And then Fiendish Rhino is going to trigger, which will then let us send Graph. And then we'll use Graph to special summon Seer, which just happened to be right next to each other there. Alright, so now we haven't used Cherubini's effect yet, so we will use Cherubini's effect. And in this case, let's see what we can send. So we have to assess what we have. So we don't have anything to bring out Levianir just yet. So what we can do, maybe we can send either a Sea Archiver or Edgemp Sabers. At least Edgemp Sabers we'll be able to bring them back. Let's see. I know I went by him. I must, yeah, there he is. So yeah, we'll send Edgemp Sabers. And then at this point we want to shuffle because we'll be doing some milling off of Dante. And actually, I think I'm going to activate Sekka's Light first just to see what draws we have. Oh, perfect. We got Leonis and another Levianir. So, actually, at this point, I think I might end up going for Leonis and just special summon him here. If I'd known I was going to get Leonis, I would have sent Sea Archiver, but that's okay. We're still going to overlay into Dante. And then with Dante, you want to make sure you detach the non-Burning Abyss monster because you don't want its effect to go off. And let's see what we mill. We're going to mill Libic, Gillosaurus, and Gigantes. All right. So ideally, we would have milled a Block Dragon, but that is okay. And Libic's effect isn't going to go off because we don't have a level 3 Dark Fiend in our hand, but we do have Tour Guide, Graph, Edgemp, and Libic, so we could potentially go for a Levianir right now. So yeah, I think I'm going to banish Libic, Tour Guide, and I will, yeah, I'll do Graph because I want to be able to use Edgemp. So we'll special summon out Levianir and then use Levianir's effect to rip a card out of our opponent's hand. So we'll put the banish pile up here. And now we can special summon Edgemp Sabers from our graveyard by placing the Levianir on top of our deck. And now we have enough resources to go into Saryuja. So we're just going to link all these away here. Whoops. Into our first of 2 Saryujas. So the chains are going to be Saryuja, Chainlink 1, Seer will be Chainlink 2, Dante, Chainlink 3. So Dante is going to add Seer back to our hand. Seer will special summon Dante over here. And now Saryuja will get us some draws. And I did get another Levianir, but that's okay. Hey, we got a Block Dragon and a Sea Archiver. Alright, so let's see. Definitely want to put Seer and Seeker back for sure. I keep the Block Dragon. Let's see. I think I might also put the Levianir back because chances are we can access another level 8 at some point in our turn. So I'm going to put Seer as far away as possible from us. So on the very, very bottom of the deck. Alrighty. And these we could potentially save them to use to bring back Fossil Dyna. So we can hold on to those in our hand for the time being, but we want to assess how many Earths we have in our graveyard. So we have Gigantes, Gillosaurus, Leonis, and Rhino, and we still have a Sekka's Light to use. So I think now, while I'm thinking of it, I will banish Gigantes, Gillosaurus, and Leonis to bring out Block Dragon. And yeah, so actually we're probably not going to be able to save both of these for our Levier for Fossil Dyna, but we can still use Saryuja to special summon one of them. So I'll use Saryuja to special summon Psychic Wielder. I'm not going to activate Sea Archiver's effect just yet. I do want to save him to potentially make Levier later on, but we do have enough materials here to go into another Saryuja. And alright, so that brings out Saryuja up there, and again we'll have him be Chain Link 1, a Block Dragon Chain Link 2, Dante Chain Link 3. So Dante can technically add Cherubini back to our hand. He'll just go back to our extra deck. And Block Dragon will get us Seeker, let's see, Researcher, and where is he? Gigantes, right next to each other. So I am going to shuffle a little bit here, because we're going to have to draw off of Saryuja. Alright, so we're definitely going to keep these three. And then off of Saryuja, we draw... Oh, perfect. Ooh, this is actually going to be a really tough choice on what cards to put back. I guess we can put back Gigantes. Maybe save the Gaia Plate. This is tough. Maybe put him back. I don't know. It's a tough choice. But I know I definitely want access to these cards, and I want access to Gillosaurus for Fossil Dyna. So unfortunately, I might actually have to put these back, which it's not ideal, but we might not be able to end on a Dingirsu. And they go back to the bottom of my deck, not in my graveyard. Alright, my deck's over here. But alright, so this is our hand now. And I'm going to special summon Gigantes by banishing one of the Earths we have. So I can just banish Fiendish Rhino and bring Gigantes here. Still not going to use the Archiver's effect. But now because we control a rock monster, we can special summon Researcher. Now because we control a Emancipator, we can special summon Seeker. And alright, so now if we had level 3 Earth, which we do, we could use it and the tuner to go into Naturia Beast, but I want to try and save this for Fossil Dyna. So what we can do, we'll use the one tuner and one non-tuner to go into our Holofibrax right here. And when Holofibrax is special summoned, we get to special summon a tuner from our deck. Recover. Alright, so now we can use the Recover and the Gigantes to go into our Naturia Beast. And we can make that beast over here, just so we still have this side of the field to mess around with. And alright, let's assess what Earth material we have for Block Dragon. So we can still bring out Block Dragon. So it might be a good idea to do that now. So we can special summon Block Dragon, doesn't really matter where, by banishing Saryuja, Seeker, and we want to keep Recover. And the other Saryuja, I guess, why not? Actually, instead of the other Saryuja, we'll banish the Fossil Dyna, because we're going to need that out. Alrighty, let's see. So now what do we want to do here? We can use these materials now to go into an Appaloosa. So I'm going to do that. It'll be an Appaloosa with 3 negates. Special summon her there. And we actually might not have enough earth materials. Ah, yes we do. Yeah, we have plenty of earth materials to get back Fossil Dyna. Alright, so now I'm going to special summon Gillosaurus for my hand here, specifically to his own Link Monster points too. And then Sea Archiver. Now Xyz them together to make Leviair. And now we can bling. Now we can bring back Block Dragon here by banishing Researcher, Saryuja, and Gigantes. And we do still have the Wielder and the Recover in our graveyard, but we don't necessarily need to use those. The one thing that you want to be careful with this deck is you don't want to try and overcommit and try and go too far with your board, because you'll end up just losing all your resources and you won't be able to make what you want to make. So ideally we could try and push for something else. We could try and bring out Recover, but I mean, what would we end up making with that? The board we have now is definitely optimal. So we have 3 monster negates with Appaloosa, we have an Omni Spell negate with Neteria Beasts, and we have Leviair, which we're going to use to bring back our Fossil Dyna, and we have protection for Leviair in the form of Block Dragon. So I'm going to attach the Sea Archiver so we can bring it back later on. And Fossil Dyna will go right there. But yeah, so it's not the most ideal end board, but it's definitely a good board and something that your opponent's going to have to push a lot to break through. So we have the monster negates right here, the spell negates, and our opponent can't special summon. We can't either, but at least we put up a formidable board and it'll be tough for them to break through. But that's going to do it for this video for now. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you want to see more videos like this, more test hands, or you have other suggestions for me to implement, please feel free to put them down in the comments. Also, a link to my Instagram page is going to be in the description below. But with that being said, I hope you guys give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see future Yu-Gi-Oh content. Thank you for watching.